Compression continues to be normal.
Our EPA chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Echo Delta nominal.
Flight outside lead off. Bring in, let's lead off. Off.
Yikes. You bet.
Okay.
We don't need any more of these.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good midday, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to another NASA Spaceflight live stream. I see some 5x5s in chat already, so I know you can hear me great. Y'all are awesome for doing that, thanks. I'm Jack Beyer with NASA Spaceflight. I'm an editor, photographer, live stream host, whatever you want to call me. And I am excited for a Falcon 9 launch today night. Again, wherever you are around the world. This is Slick 40. You're looking at a Falcon 9 getting ready to launch Turksat 5B into space. And I am joined today by several NASA spaceflight regulars. The first of which is Ian Atkinson. What's up, Ian?
Not too much. I'm excited for Falcon 9 launch tonight. I'm glad to be here, Jack. How about you? How you doing?
No complaints. A little bit bummed about how Starlink went last night, but is what it is. But thanks for joining us, Ian. Next up, we have in the field today, Julia Bergeron. What's up, Julia?
Hey there, Jack. I am happy to say we have a vertical Falcon 9 in front of us. It's a beautiful evening, and I'm happy to be here with y'all.
Always good to hear your voice. Next up, we've got Stephen Marr. What's up, Stephen? Out there operating the camera. Is Stephen going to be on comms, or is he just a camera robot today?
I do believe Steven is just a camera robot today, but he does say hello.
Awesome. Well, we thank Stephen for operating the camera tonight and appreciate his diligent hard work wrangling those photons and getting them pushed up into the clouds so that we can all watch them wherever we are around the world. Again, this is Slick 40. It's a Falcon 9 getting ready to launch Turksat 5B. It's a communications satellite into geostationary orbit. And I am going to mine the comments for questions a little bit. Don't forget, if you want to ask a question, just type at NASASpaceflight and ask your question, and that way we will be able to see your comments and questions in some nifty software that Michael wrote. How could I forget? Michael is also in the background. Michael Baylor running the stream, pushing the buttons, pulling the levers. I know everyone always says that, but no, he's literally got steampunk levers. It's amazing. You should see it. He doesn't have that. Ian, how would you like to start us off with some commentary on what this mission is while I get us some questions out of the queue?
Absolutely, Jack. So we are looking here at Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. We have those 4 towers all around. You can see those are the lightning towers. And in the center is the magic piece of the show tonight, I guess you could say, is the Falcon 9 carrying Turksat 5B. Now, Turksat 5B is a communications satellite. And that will be servicing over Europe, over the Mediterranean, in geostationary orbit. Now, Falcon 9 will not be launching Turksat 5B direct to geostationary. Rather, it will be launching it to a geostationary transfer orbit, which is a very common launch for Falcon 9. Turksat 5B weighs about 4.5 tons, which is a little on the lighter side for Falcon 9 GTO missions. But it's a pretty standard launch tonight. We have first stage 1067.3. And this is making its 3rd flight. It's previously flew on CRS-22 and SpaceX Crew 3, so this already has a good bit of experience, but it's still pretty young in terms of Falcon 9 stages. But looks to be an exciting mission tonight. We're about 37 minutes ahead of liftoff, and this will be about a 30-minute mission. We'll be looking for satellite deployment about 30 or so minutes right after liftoff. So not an incredibly long mission. So if you stick with us, it should be a very exciting night. Always great to see another Falcon 9 launch and hopefully a Falcon 9 landing tonight.
Indeed. And that would be this booster's 4th landing, which is just insane to me. To this, I mean, I know it's routine, but it's insane to me that it's routine.
Yeah. Like it literally hit me today. I'm just like, oh yeah, this booster's only launched 2 times. It's only launched 2 times. We just had one that flew 11 times earlier this morning. And it's so strange how this is just normal now.
We speaking of the one that flew 11 times earlier this morning, we have some questions coming through about that, why we didn't have coverage, etc. And I mentioned it, of course. Some people are asking about it. But basically, we had a signal issue down there in the middle of nowhere in Vandenberg in Lompoc. So we were not able to get a stream up for the Starlink launch this morning, but hopefully that's the last time that we have that issue. But I mean, like you said, 11 launches, 11 with one rocket. Actually, you might know the answer to this, Ian. I have a question. I get to see, this is the best part about being a host, is I get to inject my own questions. Have any of the new Shepard boosters flown 11 missions?
Ooh, that's a good question. Not that I know of. I think we're going around 5 missions ish for the max now. Maybe it might be up to 7. I'm not sure though. I don't track new Shepards that much.
Fair enough. Either way, it's not really an apples to apples comparison because, of course, orbital booster versus suborbital booster. But I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have got some questions coming in, but first off, I'm going to knock out some super chats. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Musical Wolves, thank you. They said, still feeling sad about unexpected loss of pet earlier this month. They liked watching live stream with me. I still miss... Oh, my gosh. I'm so sorry, Musical Wolves.
That's so sad to hear.
That's the worst part of having a pet is when you have to, part ways. But
Yeah.
think of the good times. That's really... I know it might sound cliche, but... I love my pets. I've loved everyone that I have, and gosh, they're special. So I'm glad you had some special times with a little buddy.
Yeah, that's sad. Wishing you all the best there. That's always tough to go through, but
Absolutely.
hope it gets better soon,
It will, in time.
But we got something exciting here to look forward to in 30 minutes, so hopefully that'll help a little bit.
Go, Internet Rocket, go! Woohoo! Let's see. Mark, thank you for the support. They say, obligatory question about what the towers are for. Ian already answered that. They're lightning towers. Musical Wolves again said, when was the last time SpaceX did a geostationary orbit payload? Ian, do you know the answer?
Ooh, it's been a little while. I think the last was a Sirius XM satellite. Again, don't quote me on that, but it's been a hot minute. They've been doing a lot of Starlinks, and the geo market is kind of in a bit of a slump now. The past few years have not been big. Have not been big for geostationary missions. Actually, I just got told here in a back channel, Sirius XM8 was back in June. That was the last one. So it's been about 6 months.
Is that because they normally send them to a transfer orbit rather than direct injection? Is that what's going on predominantly?
No, it's all Falcon 9 missions have launched to geostationary transfer. They haven't launched a direct geo with Falcon 9. The thing is, just geostationary satellites last for about 15 years, if not more. And right now, there's just so many up there, and they're all operating well. They don't really need replacements at the moment. So we're in a bit of a slump in terms of new launches.
That makes sense. We're kind of in the trough, so as it were.
Yep, like how 2017 and 2018 were huge for geo launches. Now we're in a bit of a slump, and then it's going to pick back up again in the next few years.
That makes sense. Cool.
Yep, neat
Sneezy Ferret, thank you for the support and the 4 lightning towers joke. Rough Riders, thank you so much. Asking about if Apple will ever launch a satellite. We're not going to go there right now, but that's an interesting question. Everest and Watts, thank you for the support. They say, where does SpaceX store Falcon 9 first stage boosters after successful landings, and how do they do it? They store them horizontally, either in the HIF or they have another hangar, right? What is that hangar called?
They actually have several hangars, but their big fancy new one is called Hangar X at Roberts Road.
Julia, what were you going to say?
I was just about to say Hangar X seems to be the primary refurbishment spot, and then they wheel them out on the transporter to whichever launch pad we'll be needing them. And then in the industrial area of Cape that we actually pass through on our way to the causeway, there's Hangar AO.
AO?
I believe it's AO, yeah.
AO River. Anybody watch Portlandia?
Ayo.
Okay. Anyways, very cool. Thank you for the answer there, both of you, and thank you for the support, Everest and Watts. 2 more super chats to go through, and we'll get to some viewer questions here. Nihan Saprosky? Sorry if I butchered your name. They say, finally, a reasonable viewing time here in Australia. Thanks for all your work, guys. No worries. Thank you for the support. And James Juries said, neither Chris would sing on B4 testing the other day, and so I'll try again here by asking for Jack to sing. And I will say no, but I will also say thank you for the support. Cool. So here's a question that I would like to ask Julia. Julia, Niche Ant is asking, what flights have the Fairings flown on? And sorry for putting you on the spot, but as the resident, or one of our resident fleet chasers, I figured this is a good question to ask you.
Oh, oh wow. Actually, y'all stump me when it comes to fairings because those don't have numbers like the boosters do. So although I've had many selfies with boosters, I really can't speak to the fairings. But if you want to know about the booster flights, I got you there. My
Let's do that one.
understanding,
We'll do that one next. But what's your understanding?
I do believe these have flown 2 times, and if I can judge by the dirt, it's got to be at least 2 times.
One of them
Or
was a
both
GPS
halves.
mission, right?
Yeah.
Ian
Say, I thought
I-
Ian knew this.
Bueller. Bueller. Anybody?
it launched on a GPS mission, but I think, sorry, GPS 3-5, so the 5th GPS satellite in GPS 3. But I think it was on a Starlink mission beforehand. Not
Cool.
entirely sure.
Very cool. I mean, like Julia said, those fairings can be a little bit harder to track, not having a nice little number under the grid fins like the boosters do.
Yeah, it's
So-
and especially. Sorry, go ahead, Julia.
Oh, I was just going to say, so if there is a viewer out there that would like to invent a spreadsheet, that would be awesome. The problem is, unless there happened to be an emblem already on that fairing and they didn't scrub it off, it's really hard for us to actually tell which ones got reused.
Very
That makes
true. And
sense.
it gets especially bad with the Starlink missions because they don't even have emblems on there. So if a fairing flies multiple Starlink missions, it's kind of just lost in the mix.
I mean, I know we all like tracking each individual minutia of the rocket launches that occur and the testing at Starbase and all of that, but we don't track the minutia of each individual tire that's used on airliners. So I suppose it's a good thing that it's sort of hard to track these fairings in a way, in that the routineness of their reuse is more like what we want.
That's fair.
Let's see. Looking for some more questions. And we are
Well,
just
while-
under 30 minutes from launch. Go ahead, Julia.
Woohoo. I was going to say, while you're looking for some more questions, I encourage everyone before we get to launch time to go outside and look up at the moon. Please go do that because it is beautiful tonight.
The moon is oh my god, I can't talk. The moon is beautiful every night, but it is particularly beautiful tonight. I was gazing at it this morning actually, so maybe not quite the same as tonight, but yeah, it's like full or nearly full, and gosh, I want to go there
You and me both.
someday. Just hang in there, or live long enough to get cyborg parts and then continue to hang in there. Let's see. Adam is asking, because the payload is lighter, what advantage is there to a launch to a geostationary transfer orbit? See, this is the kind of question that we need Chris G for, because I do not know orbital mechanics.
So I think they're saying, why go to a geostationary transfer orbit instead of just a geostationary orbit? So for those who are unaware, a geostationary transfer orbit is an oval-shaped orbit where the lowest point is about 300, 400 kilometers above Earth, but the highest point is about 35,000 kilometers above Earth, give or take. So it's a very, very elliptical orbit, which means the high point and the low point are very different. And then what happens, that's what the vehicle injects the satellite into. Then from there, what happens, the satellite itself needs to burn itself into a circular 35,000 kilometer orbit. And so what it does as it gets to the top of the orbit, it burns its engine and kind of expands its orbit. Now, some rockets are capable of actually doing that for the satellite, but in this case, it was either deemed not necessary or Falcon 9's not capable of doing that. But either way, we're looking at just a geostationary transfer orbit mission, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. I was searching for an answer there, and you found one.
Nice.
Here's one. Joshua is asking, which direction is the Falcon 9 going after liftoff?
Straight
Ooh, ooh,
east. Oh, sorry, Julia.
You said it. East, very east.
It's going to go east in an eastwardly direction to the east. Got it. Here Carson Reed is asking, are there any RTLS missions coming up for the Cape? I don't know the answer to this one. Hopefully, either of you does.
Julia, do you know?
Oh, well, I can wish there was one, but I personally have not heard that there is one coming up. Didn't we hear, or I suspect that even the Falcon Heavy, when we get one of those early in 2022, that may even be landing offshore, and that's kind of disappointing to me.
Yeah, I'm actually looking ahead here on the manifest, and there's nothing really that I'm seeing. It's kind of sad to see, but it's a lot of it is flying on Dragon 2, and because Dragon 2 is heavier than Dragon 1, they can't RTLS. They don't have that performance, so they have to land on the barge. But yeah, it might be a little while.
A couple seconds ago, we had Flight Club on screen. Just wanted to point that out. We were busy gabbing, but Flight Club is an excellent resource for determining the trajectories of these launches for either photography purposes or visibility purposes or otherwise. I love RTLS missions. I haven't seen one in a minute, but I think it was Sentinel-6 was the last one that I saw, and it was a Vandy launch. And gosh, RTLSs are cool. We could use
Yep.
more of them.
I want to see one in person.
There's nothing quite like it, except for, can you guess what, Ian?
Double RTLS?
Precisely, a Falcon Heavy double RTLS with the side boosters. Ho, buddy. That's a sight to see.
Super heavy RTLS should be pretty impressive too. That's
I'm
something
excited.
I want to see.
That's going to be a wallop of a sonic boom. Same for a re-entering Starship. I am excited. To say I'm excited is an understatement, but for the sake of time, I will move on and just suffice with I'm excited. Let's see. Niche Ant with another good question. If boosters get stored in Hangar X... Wait. I have to go on a diversion here. Is it Hangar X or Hangar 10?
Hangar X.
Okay, thank you. Like SpaceX. Hangar X, SpaceX. Got it. If boosters are stored in Hangar X, the HIF, and at the pads, where do fairings get stored and refurbished? Do we know the answer to that? Or is it sort of SpaceX has a lot of various buildings and we don't have visibility into which exactly one they go to?
We know.
Go
Do
on.
you want to know? Oh, okay.
I would love to know.
More often than not, they actually don't have to journey too far from port when they are recovered. They go right into that little high bay that's behind Port Canaveral.
Nice.
Yeah. But there is another facility out on Cape, not exactly in the industrial area, but there is another facility that I've seen they work out of. But primarily, it's actually kind of on the public side of the world.
Very cool. Looking for another question, and we're coming up on the T-minus 20-minute vent. Who wants to discuss or tell the viewers who might not know what that is going to be all about and set expectations so no one freaks out in the chat?
Yeah, so the T-minus 20 vent comes up at, surprise, surprise, T-minus 20 minutes. Gasp. Now, what that is it's going to be a large vent from the transporter erector, signifying that Falcon 9 is deep into cryogenic loading. Now, it's actually escaping my mind what exactly it is from and what causes it. I feel very bad. But
It's purging. It's purging of the GSE lines so that when the rocket actually takes off and it roasts those lines a little bit, there's not volatile propellant still left in those lines. So it's a purge, I believe.
There we go. That makes a lot more sense. So yeah, they purge lines so you don't have explosive material inside the transporter for when the big flamey thing is flying right next to the transporter. And that will just look like a giant cloud of gas coming out of the transporter. That's perfectly normal. And that actually signifies that countdown is continuing normal. I was about to say nominally.
You can say nominal here. We're all friends.
Okay, that's true, I guess.
Here's a question from Battlehammer saying, what time is it over there? Any chance for a jellyfish? Which, if you don't know, is when the exhaust plume is illuminated by the sun while the vantage point of everyone else is in shadow, and it looks really cool. Any chance of a jellyfish tonight, Julia? Are you aware? How long ago did the sun set?
I'm going to tell you right now that the moon is way too high, which means the sun is way too low, so no jellyfish.
Fair enough. Those people ask about the jellyfish every single launch. And you know what? Unlike the people who ask about the four towers, I don't blame them, because the jellyfish is a really super cool thing to see. But it's also rare. Unlike the Four Towers, it's also rare. Four Towers happen every time. But yeah, was talking to someone the other night, actually last night before Starlink, about whether or not we were going to get a jellyfish, and just sort of wistfully remembering the last one we had, which I think was Salcom on the West Coast, and holy cow, it was awesome, and I can't wait for another one. But they're rare. That's part of what makes them great.
Oh, they're beautiful to see.
Indeed. Let's see. A couple more super chats here. Thank you, everybody, for the support. JB saying they keep their boosters at Hangar M, Hangar X. Stupid iPhone 10, ruining my brain for the capital Roman numeral X. Or the hangar at 39A. Thank you for that, JB. And sorry for my inane digression. There's the T-minus 20-minute event.
Woohoo, look at that.
And again, that is nominal. That is what we're looking for as an indication that the countdown is progressing normally, nominally, normally, whatever you want to say. Sneezy Ferret, thank you for the support with an Apple joke. Lol. Sausage, thank you for the support. They say, hi, Jack, Michael, and Ian, and Julia, and Steven. Merry Christmas to you all, and all the NASA Spaceflight staff and viewers. Thank you, Sausage.
Thank you. Same to you.
Now I want some sausage. Glenn, thank you for the support. They say, B1067 was first used on CRS-22 and was the first reused booster for humans. Crew 3. Nice. Thank you. And thanks for the support. James Juries wants me to sing and is providing some support as well, but James, I'm not going to sing. I'm sorry. Roseanne DeVesto, thank you so much for the generous support there. They say the moon is full at 11:59. Good to know. So take your, I don't even know, take your crystals outside and charge them up at 11:59. I got nothing for, I don't know, what do you do when the moon is full? Howl like a wolf?
I guess
It's
so.
whatever makes your heart happy. You can charge your crystals, howl at the moon, give someone a kiss, or
There you
just
go.
gaze up and enjoy it.
Love
Whatever
it.
makes you happy.
Yeah, I like the inclusivity, Julia. Thank you.
Yeah, very well put.
Quiescent, Quiet Storm says, Jill is glad to hear Julia's voice this evening. Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you so much for the support there. It's always good to hear Julia's voice, because you get little nuggets of wisdom like that.
I just enjoy hanging out with you guys, and I want to thank the viewers for hanging out with me on a Saturday night, because, I mean, this is a pretty awesome way to spend a Saturday.
I mean, 2 launches in less than 24 hours, opposite coasts, holiday launches. What more do you want? Really quick, while we continue to watch the T-minus 20-minute event here at T-minus 18 minutes, it's going strong. All signs point to the countdown progressing nominally for Turksat 5B. Couple more super chats. Amit, thank you for the support. Actually, not even a super chat. You became a PadRat member. This is the part where I say, hey, if you like what we do and you want to support the channel, become a member. We've got perks. We've got Discord channel for Capcom membership level and above. We've got chat emoji. I'm going to throw an Elon Heavy in chat right now. Y'all can deal with it. Sorry, mods, because you're about to get spammed by Elon Heavies. Oh, that's an Elon Super Heavy. Sweet. But seriously, thank you to all of our members, and thank you to Amit for becoming a new member, because it helps support what we do, and it's a fun little community that we've got going here. So thank you to all of our members. Check out that little member perk button down there below the like and dislike button, where you can subscribe as a member to our channel, and we would really appreciate it if you think about it.
Hey, Jack,
What's up?
can I give you guys another wisdom nugget?
I love wisdom nuggets. Please give me another wisdom nugget.
Yes, please.
So as the holidays are approaching, I'm getting a little older and I don't get gifts in the mail. I get gift cards. And I want to tell you guys a great way to spend your money that you get for Christmas gifts. And it would be to go to the NASASpaceflight store and, maybe get yourself a shirt, get yourself a print, get yourself a cool mug to enjoy hot cocoa. Just saying, it's a good opportunity to treat yourself.
Yeah, sure enough. We've got some cool Starship hexagon, like heat shield tile mugs and shirts. We've got a James Webb shirt, I think. If that's I think that should be in the store by now. Hopefully I didn't just completely ruin a surprise. I I think we might be sold out of the Starship. Nope, there we go. James Webb Space Telescope. Check out that shirt and mug. All kinds of cool stuff. And you can see the hexagon thing below that. I mean, the merch also is another really great way to support what we do, and you get a cool item in return in which you can show off your coolness to your nerd friends. And as a bald guy, I would wear that hat. Fun fact, bald guys, most often hat guys. This was Adrian came up with this one, I think. Do not talk to me before my first coffee, and my first coffee is crossed out and it says James Webb Space Telescope is deployed. I think we all are a little bit nervous about the that mission going exactly perfectly, and I'm just not even going to talk about it anymore. I just hope it goes perfectly, and I'm going to knock on some dead tree that I have here in my house. Let's see, some more questions. Y'all asking. You all are asking some really good questions tonight, so don't forget, at NASASpaceflight, and we can see your question pop up in chat and potentially answer it. Looking for some more.
And look at that. You can see the condensation actually coming off the tanks of the Falcon 9. That's what that cloud of gas is there. It's not venting anything. At least it's not venting anything major. That is because the tanks of the Falcon 9 are so cold with the liquid oxygen inside of them that the water, the moisture in the air is condensing onto the tanks and then evaporating again. We've heard from our people in the field, Julia and Steven, that it's very humid outside. So there's a lot of condensation. So Falcon 9 is sort of just venting, or not venting, but water is condensing on it and it looks sort of eerie and ghastly.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's really special about rocket launches is these vehicles sort of go from a state where, I don't want to say they're dead, but they're sort of sleeping. And when they get on the launch pad, when we get close to a launch, as we are now, just under 14 minutes, they come alive. And they make sounds. Sometimes they sound like they're roaring. Sometimes they sound like they're grumbling, at least when you have a microphone close enough. And they look like they're getting ready. It's like a cheetah pounced, ready to strike. I don't know, in a weird mechanical way. I don't know how else to describe it. Maybe I sound crazy, but the look of this condensation coming off of the booster right now, it just screams to me, I am ready to do some work, and that work is lift a payload into orbit. Speaking of that payload, we have a question, which I don't know if we know the answer to. I certainly don't, but I have a guess, and you're going to roll your eyes at me, but I digress. David Mee is asking, how many... Oh, I just bungled the button push. Darn it. How many Turksats have gone up over the years?
So in terms of Falcon 9, this is their second Turksat. So Turksat 5A launched in January of this year. Turksat 5B is launching right now, and Turksat 6A or 6B is launching sometime in the near future. So this is 2 out of 3 currently manifested.
Excellent.
On Falcon 9.
And my dumb answer was going to be 5 because it's Turksat 5B. But like you said, Turksat 5A launched earlier this year, so 5B is actually not the 5th. It would be the 6th, presumably. But there could be an A and B in previous series. Either way, this is the second one that SpaceX has launched.
Yep.
And I apologize. I pushed the button to show that on screen, and then I stupidly hit another button, and it didn't show up on screen very long. But thank you for the good question. Vertical Addiction Media is asking, was this Falcon 9 rocket shipped to Cape Canaveral, or was this built, assembled on site? I think we know the answer to that, right? Falcon 9 rockets are built here in California and then shipped to whatever launch site.
Yep. Yeah, they assemble them. So they have the individual stages manufactured in California. Then they ship the stages and the fairings individually to Florida, to Vandenberg, wherever. And then they assemble the first stage onto the second stage and the fairings onto that. So some assembly required.
I mean, it's a rocket. What do you expect, people? Let's see. Thank you for the support, everybody. We got some more super chats. James Juries, thank you again. DYU, I know you. Say hat for Jack. Person whose name I don't really want to say says, are all Falcon 9 fairings shaped the same, or can a customer pick different fairings? There is a new larger fairing coming, but currently all fairings are basically the same, right?
Yep, it's all the same fairing design, but there is a new larger one coming for at least Falcon Heavy, but that's probably about 2 to 3 years down the road.
I cannot wait to see that bigger fairing. That's going to be awesome.
So weird. I can't wait to see it.
Just under 11 minutes away from launch from Slick 40 and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Roseanne DeVasto is asking, how do they transport them? They transport them by road. It is a fun fact that Falcon 9 was made to be road transportable, and its dimensions are kind of maxed out in terms of what you can transport on the road as a wide load without having to do any kind of crazy nonsense like cut down telephone poles and remove stoplights and stuff like that. Thank you, Bruce, for the support. Sweet. Sedated, thank you for the support. They said they joined the Discord yesterday and been meeting some amazing people. Well, thank you for the membership, buddy. Baby Yoda, thank you for the support. Roseanne DeVisto again, Tuesday at 5:15 if delayed. Maybe a little jellyfish. We don't hope for delays here, even if it means jellyfish. But thank you for the support. Mark, thank you for the support. They say, do Falcon 9 engines get moved between boosters during refurbishment, or do all 9 Merlins stay with the booster unless they fail? I think they mix and match as needed. If a Merlin is acting finicky, or if they get some weird data from one, or if they want to pull one and inspect it, they can yank one off relatively easily and throw a new one on. So I don't think all 9 engines are married to a booster from the day that they meet and till they die. Hopefully not. Right, Ian? Right, Julia?
Yeah, they usually try to keep them with the booster because it's not incredibly difficult to demate an engine, but it's just pain you don't want to go through. So they try to keep them on the boosters as much as possible, but it's not uncommon, I believe, to switch them between boosters if they need to refurbish an engine or whatever.
Very cool. Greg Dietz, thank you for the support. They say, thanks for the coverage. Thank you for the support, Greg. And Alien Vibes, thank you so much for the generous support. They say, I just want to say thank you to everyone in NSF for everything you do. It's gotten me through some of the hardest times I've ever experienced this year and has kept me happy. Alien Vibes, I don't know how to express my thank you and my thanks for that comment. That really means a lot. Sometimes it can feel like you're sort of just, I don't know. It can be tough sometimes. So thank you for saying that, because it means a lot that you appreciate what we do. It really does. And it's part of the fuel that goes in the gas tank that keeps everything going, is knowing that stuff like this matters to people. Somebody commented on one of my posts about Starlink this morning that one of their friends worked on the MVAC engine on stage 2. And I always think, it's really cool. I mean, I've had somebody buy a Falcon 9 photo from me whose I believe it was whose parent was on I think it was SSO. Their parent was, their ashes were on the flight, and so it's just cool that we can bring people happiness, that we can do things that matter, and we're not just flapping our gums here for fun. I mean, I know I can be flippant. I know I can talk about oven bacon ad nauseum, but it means a lot that what we do means something to you. So thank you for saying that, and thank you for the support. Jim Cavett, thank you for the support. All right, that's enough for the support. I mean, please continue to support us. But let's go back to some viewer questions. We are 7 minutes away from launch, and I am excited to see this thing get lofted into space. I can't understate this. How cool is that? It's going to space. It's not going down the street. It's not going to the mall. It's not going to the mail store. Oh, God, post office. What's wrong with my brain? It's going to space, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's always weird to say. Like the top half of that actually all of that rocket's going to be in space, but the top half of that rocket is going to be in orbit. That is weird to think about. Like that second stage is leaving Earth intact for the last time. I don't know. That's just strange to think about.
You know what's strange for me to think about?
What?
Is that the bottom half of that rocket, I'm going to see come back. How cool is that?
That's going to be
Yeah.
really cool because we're going to get dual East Coast and West Coast recoveries at nearly the same time, given that both of these rockets have launched within the last 24 hours.
That'll be
We should
very cool.
we'll be able to like directly compare and contrast East Coast and West Coast recovery ops. And speaking of East Coast recovery ops, Julia, do you know what ships are going to be involved on supporting this mission?
For this mission, I know it is Finn, and I knew this answer earlier, you guys, but I closed a few windows. Give me 1 second. I
No worries.
know the answer.
I
It
put you
is
on the
a
spot.
shortfall. They all kind of went out while I was working, so it's a shortfall of Gravitas is out with Finn, and then we have Bob bringing the fairings back, which works out well timing-wise because our next mission, which is a commercial resupply mission, does not involve fairings.
Oh, that's very true.
Because Dragon.
Because Dragon.
Indeed.
And for anybody's knowledge, wondering when it will be back, don't know exactly, but it is 410 miles to the east of us, so it's going to take a hot minute, like at least 3 days. So hope the weather stays under control with the different fronts that are starting to work their way through. So, it'll be a few days. We'll let you know.
And the drone ship, a shortfall of Gravitas, Julia, that is the fancy new one that's sort of a bit more autonomous, right? Is that what a shortfall of Gravitas is?
Well, they sort of. It's sleeker. It's sleeker. It's newer. It's been kissed by a few less rockets so far. But in all honesty, just read the instructions, and ASOG are both pretty much equally autonomous. It's just a matter of when that autonomous capability will be allowed to happen.
Very
Right,
cool.
it's one thing that the ship is capable, or barge, or is it? Do you call it a barge or a ship? What do you call it, Julia?
It's a barge, but we
Okay.
can be fancy and we can call it a drone ship. But y'all, it's a barge. Okay, that's really what it is. It is a barge, but it is fancy because it does now. Both of those two vessels have AIS designation, which is not common for a barge.
I know people in chat are saying autonomous spaceport drone ship. That sounds really cool, but it's way faster to just say barge. And if we want to get specific, I can say it's a heavily modified barge used to catch rockets, also known as an autonomous spaceport drone ship. But really, it's a barge.
Yeah.
Coolest,
I'll just stop right there. Yeah, barge.
coolest barge in the world, dare I say.
I second that.
Here's a question. Ross McNutt is asking, when they launch Starship from Florida, do you think they can use the barge since we're talking about barges, from SLS to move it to Boca Chica? It should fit and goes in the VAB. I mean,
well,
you can't really transport Starship or Super Heavy horizontally, right?
Whoa. Jack, stop. Yo.
What?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Starship?
Well, at least the booster, because I have a set of plans how they were going to move it from Sideco Road over to KSC using that very same turn basin right by the VAB.
A Super Heavy booster?
Well, if you have multiple barges in a row that can make it through the lock and you leash them together like the plans show, I imagine you could.
Wow.
See, I've always heard that Super Heavy boosters and Starships were not meant to be transported horizontally and are hence transported vertically.
Well, what was that was being built at Sideco Road? Because I'm not as versed in Starship as you, but what were we building here?
I don't know the answer to that question, but
it was Mark II.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I've even seen Mark II. I should know this. Sideco
Road, yep. And there are indeed plans that exist, and they show the booster going horizontal on a few barges that are lashed together and drawn by a tugboat that come down a channel right up through the up the turn basin to dock there and unload. Something to think about.
Consider my mind blown and my world shaken, and I know nothing, and yet I want to know more. I was just gonna say they're not really gonna transport stuff around. They're just gonna launch it into space. If they build a Starship in Boca Chica, they're gonna launch it into space from Boca. If they build a Starship in Florida, they're gonna launch it into space from Florida. No need to transport and shuffle them around. But what are we seeing right now? Is this normal?
Yeah, the final purge from the transporter erector. This is similar to the T-minus 20-minute purge, and now we are actually 1 minute from launch. So we're this close to launch. They're starting to get everything out of the transporter erector or the strong back just to make sure there's nothing flammable because you don't want to damage your launch equipment. So coming up on 1 minute, they are starting to stop propellant loading on the Falcon 9. They're pressurizing the tanks now, and they're getting the vehicle almost ready for flight at flight pressures.
Sure enough, and we'll be sure to be quiet when the rocket takes off, and we get the awesome sound from that. But as we're just under 30 seconds from launch, I'm going to be quiet and let Ian take the callouts as Falcon 9 hopefully ascends into orbit.
All right, so right now what we're looking at, what we're going to be seeing here in about 10 seconds, we're going to see engine ignition and liftoff, and then a few seconds later we'll hear the audio. So look out for ignition and liftoff in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition and liftoff. Beautiful. Now listen for the audio. Hardest on the vehicle. You can see the vehicle's now getting higher and higher in the atmosphere, which is noticeable because the engine plume is starting to get wider. Because there's less air up there, there's less air to push in on the engine exhaust, and it starts to fan out. Now we'll be coming up on main engine cutoff in about 30 seconds here. Again, we've had a beautiful liftoff of the Falcon 9 here from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. You can see the vehicle's now getting higher and higher in the atmosphere and almost in space by now. The engine plume is getting wider and wider and bluer. This is due to the less air up in the atmosphere. And in about 10 seconds, we're going to see main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation and second stage ignition. Let's watch for that. And there's main engine cutoff. Stage separation should be occurring about now. And there is stage 2 ignition. Beautiful separation there on the Falcon 9 as it continues to orbit. Now the first stage booster, which just shut down, is going to reorient itself, prepare itself for re-entry, and then land on SpaceX's drone ship downrange in about 5 minutes or so. So that'll be the next major event, and then following that will be shutdown of the second stage engine.
A lot of times that booster landing and the shutdown of the second stage ending are like nearly simultaneous, and it's quite a ballet of, shall I say an orbital ballet? I think so. I think I shall.
That's fair. I'd say that's fair. And looking here on the screen, you can actually see Florida in the background on the left camera view.
Imagine us waving right now.
If only we could see.
I'm going to tell you the rumble with the humidity in the air, the crackle, you could feel it today, like really feel it.
It sounded great.
Is
And there we go, fairing set.
fairing separation confirmed. And look now, Turksat 5B is exposed to space for the first time. Looks like the second stage is continuing nominally, and the first stage is slowly reorienting itself as it coasts over the Atlantic Ocean towards the drone ship.
It's wild to me that the cameras on that first stage are able to resolve the Earth, even though it's basically the Earth looks like it's in shadow. It's nighttime there, obviously, so and yet I can see details in the clouds. It just this looks so surreal. The fact that this thing is about to head down and land on a short fall of gravitas, it's just wild to me. It's never gonna stop being awesome. I'm super glad that I wasn't born 20 years later, and I don't think of this as routine, and I can still think of this as amazing, even however many years into rocket recovery we are.
Yeah,
It's coming back. It's not
so
getting
cool to
thrown
look
away.
at. We're getting on the left side of the screen, we're getting a live view of the Atlantic Ocean from space, and you can see individual clouds. And a few seconds ago, you could see individual cities with city lights in Florida. That is just it's amazing for me to see that.
Yeah, and even maybe I'm interpreting this too closely here, but I even feel like you can get a sense of diving back into the atmosphere from this perspective. Like what we're seeing in terms of motion isn't quite just the rotation of the Earth; it's the booster getting closer and closer and closer to the atmosphere, which is wild. And all the while, second stage is just muscling away.
Yeah, it's crazy. And actually, speaking of coming back in the atmosphere, in about a minute, we're going to see 3 of Falcon 9 first stage's engines relight and slow itself down as it re-enters Earth's atmosphere.
Sure enough. And I'm being told in the back channel, which is like kind of a duh thing, the Earth is illuminated by the moon, which is just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Look at that. It's just beautiful to see that. And the second stage is continuing nominally. We have about 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes left in the second stage burn. From there, it'll be inserted into a parking orbit, which is just a low Earth orbit. And then from there, about 15 minutes later, it will restart its engine and finally accelerate to the geostationary transfer orbit we discussed earlier. But for right now, look on the left side of the screen, you can see little RCS puffs of the nitrogen gas thrusters on the first stage as it reorients itself. And we're about 10 seconds away from the entry burn starting.
I love seeing that speed indicator on the bottom right just start climbing faster and faster.
Yep. And we have entry burn ignition, completely blowing out the camera because it's so bright, going from darkness to bright. Now 3 engines on the first stage are igniting here to slow it down quickly, not slow it down entirely, but just slow it down enough that it will safely coast through the atmosphere.
Yeah, and part of that process is literally fighting fire with fire and using that exhaust plume enveloping the vehicle to prevent plasma from the heat of reentry from damaging the vehicle, which is
and
go ahead.
I'm saying, speaking of plasma, look at the grid fins. We are seeing entry plasma building up on the vehicle right now as it enters the atmosphere. That's always beautiful to see, and I just love when we get this chance here to see it.
It's simply beautiful, and if I ever am fortunate enough to go into orbit and go into space, I am going to love every second of zero G. I'm going to love every second of seeing our planet, our home, so tiny from afar, and I'm going to love seeing the universe from in space. But I think something I will absolutely look forward to, even though I'll be terrified about re-entering the atmosphere, is seeing that re-entry plasma, because I've heard nothing but good things, and it just looks so beautiful every time, and it's just an amazing bit of fireworks that say, hey, you're home. Welcome back to atmosphere.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the first times, if not the first, that we actually got an uninterrupted view of the Falcon 9 first stage through reentry. We saw it from plasma buildup to when the plasma ended, and now it's coasting down towards the drone ship. And look at that second stage engine cutoff right there. right as planned. And we have a nice view here from the drone ship as well as onboard cameras, showing the Falcon 9 first stage relighting as it approaches for landing. Now this will be the third landing for the booster, should it stick it. Now you'll be able to see the drone ship on the left. Oh, there you go. You can see it on the left-hand camera.
We had uninterrupted entry burn.
Yep. Oh,
And we get
and
uninterrupted landing burn.
Beautiful. Another
at
great
that.
landing.
Woohoo!
And now this booster is christened 1067-4. They'll prepare it for its fourth mission once it returns back to Cape Canaveral. A beautiful landing.
Is it dash or dot?
Dash, right, Julia?
I've lost track, but I've been using dash.
Gotcha.
Fair enough. Look at that. It's dead center. That's a bullseye.
That's a bullseye.
That is a bullseye. What a landing.
Absolutely.
And so now the second stage, the engine has cut off, correct?
Yes, so the engine is shut down. It is coasting now. And look, a nice view from Fleet Cam there. But it is coasting now in low Earth orbit. And coming up in about 20 minutes or so, we will have second stage engine reignition, a short coast after that, and then spacecraft separation.
Very cool.
But very exciting liftoff. That was beautiful to see. Great liftoff, great tracking by Steven there. And beautiful mission overall. We got uninterrupted views of the first stage through reentry, which is something we almost never get.
That was pretty special.
Yeah, that was great to see.
All right. Well, with that, I think we can call it a night. What an amazing launch. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for that. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Consider becoming a member if you haven't already. But seriously, thank you. Really quick, Roseanne DeVisto, thank you for the support. Andrew Baldwin, thank you for the support. Bimmergeezer, that's one of those names we see pop up a lot. Thank you so much for the support. Aaron Kemp, thank you. Night Striker, thank you. And Roseanne DeVasto, again, thank you. Sorry we couldn't have time to get to your questions, but that's what it is. Please, if you have a question that went unanswered, feel free to DM me on Twitter at NASASpaceflight, whatever you got to do, and or just come back on the next live stream, and maybe we'll get that answered for you. But for that, I think we're gonna call it a night. Tonight I was Jack Beyer, big deal, who cares? Host for NASASpaceflight, etc. But I was joined by Ian Atkinson. Ian, thank you for being on the stream.
Great to be here, Jack. Thank you for having me.
And Julia Bergeron, out in the field. Julia might not be on comms right now, but thank you so much for being out there and providing your commentary, Julia. We always love it. Of course, Stephen Marr is also out there. He was the one providing the tracking camera views, also not on comms right now. And, of course, Michael Baylor in the background, running the stream, operating and switching and whatnot. Thank you, Michael, for the support. Oh, my God, for the support. Well, I mean, yeah, it is. It's support. Anyways, you know what I think we should do? I think we should all go hang out at Starbase Live. That's our 24/7 live stream in Boca Chica, covering all aspects of what is going on in Starbase. So let's go hang out in Starbase. I'll see you guys on the next stream.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCP chamber pressure looks good. Toggling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight downside SE off. Bring in SE off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.